what is your opinion of COVID-19?
Being that I tested positive, it has kind of increased the emotional aspect or the tie, I guess, to COVID-19, and it makes everyone else's opinions kind of morph a little bit. Everybody's got a strong opinion on it, and all of a sudden it's kind of turned into a political deal, and obviously that's annoying. Yeah, I mean, it's scary where this is going. I just think some people are taking it too serious and some people not serious enough. All the unknowns really kind of freak you out when you're sitting in bed and you're aching and your lungs are getting attacked by this thing. It kind of gives you a little reality check. But yeah, it's kind of a scary deal, and it kind of makes you wonder what the next one's going to be like, or what this is going to be like for me in a month or 6 months or 5 years. I mean, the viruses are coming in a lot of different forms. Yes, it's a coronavirus. We know all about it, but it's a little freaky. But it's slowly I'm getting back to my normal self. It is kind of bewildering how long it's taken. So I just always urge a little caution with folks, especially ones that are under the opinion that this is just like the flu or whatever it might be. Yeah, you might be asymptomatic and not even know you had it, but still a little bit of a mystery. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out whether I'm immune now or if this thing can relapse. I mean, there's just still a lot of questions for me, I guess.
Yeah, that makes total sense. When were you diagnosed?
Well, I first came down with it March 17th.
Okay.
And then I thought I was getting better. I thought it was a flu bug. And I actually went out with some friends, ice climbing, took them up to Highlight. And thank God I didn't give it to them. I was feeling better that day. I was like, it kind of does. And talking to more folks that have had it, a moderate case like mine, it does kind of come and go, and it really fluctuates in the severity. So I thought I had a little flu bug, felt better, went ice climbing with some friends. And the next morning, it was like I got hit by a truck. And that's kind of right around the same time Sharon started to come down with the symptoms as well. So I talked to a buddy that had it. And he said, "Oh, you sound like you have it. You need to get tested." Tried to get tested, and they said, "Nah, you're not high risk. You're pretty healthy. We don't have our testing capabilities. Just go home and quarantine." So went home, quarantined until Thursday, and then I was really kind of beside myself. I really felt terrible. The body aches, the fever spikes, sweat in the bed, and all that good stuff. So went and got tested, and then that Saturday got my positive results. And by then Sharon was kind of in the thick of it. And then we just kind of laid in bed. Like it completely zaps your energy in a weird way. Like you go out to get the mail, you come in, you feel like you got to lay down kind of thing. So that's kind of the chronology. And it did kind of hang around for a while. I mean, we really can't afford to just forget about work and really take probably the time we needed to get through this. So I think that definitely prolonged my symptoms, just trying to muddle through the work, as Sharon did as well. And I don't think that did us any favors.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but it's what you got to do. And then got tested for the antibodies and some other blood tests. I heard all this stuff about the clotting and healthy people having strokes and stuff like that. So went and got some blood tests, got the antibody tests. Everything came back great, and I was positive for the antibodies. Okay. Which then you research that, and it doesn't mean a whole lot either. So I am fighting it, or fought it, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, absolutely. So first symptoms were the fever and the body aches?
Yep. Yeah, just kind of low energy. You just kind of feel like you got a bug, like you got a flu bug and whatnot.
Okay.
It's just then a couple, 3 or 4 days. Our main symptoms were probably 8 to 10 days.
Okay.
And by that, I mean, you're just kind of laying in bed and you're only getting half breaths. You got kind of this pneumonia setting in, but not like a croupy cough or anything like that. Just, you can feel the constriction in your chest. You're only getting half breaths. And that's really what the concern is when you're kind of going through the thick of it. You feel it interacting in your lungs in a strange way. I mean, really awkward, like never felt this way before. And I have a pulse oximeter more out of, I've always had one next to the bed, just and grins, I guess, check my heart rate, see what my O2 level is. So I did kind of glue my, sensory to that and make sure, because that's one thing that they're telling people, if your O2 levels kind of drop below like 90, go to the hospital kind of thing. So luckily nothing really got too out of control there. So, yeah.
You're discussing, 8 to 10 days for the thick of it. But what thoughts entered your mind when you realized you may have it as you first experienced symptoms?
I was sure that I didn't have it. So when I first I was surprised when I got the positive result. I was expecting a negative. And I'm just probably like everybody else. You get a flu bug, it kicks your butt for a day or two, and you just kind of power through it. So I had that mindset that I have a little flu bug and I'm going to just bounce right through this and go about my ordinary way. And then, so I was kind of shocked that I actually had it. I thought it was just a nasty bug. And then after I tested positive, it did kind of come back after I got out in the woods that day. Later in the week I got tested, and then it really sat in for another 4 or 5 solid days. And then it's notorious for kind of hanging around. These, like, for a few weeks, 2 to 3 weeks after you're basically through the main symptoms, really low energy, still your chest. I got an albuterol inhaler. They've been prescribing those to certain COVID patients where they're just still short of breath. Like you feel like you got to yawn or something to get a full breath. And I think after talking to folks, I think our case was probably a moderate case. It wasn't a heavy case, and we never went to the hospital. We just like a moderate case is what I've been picking up. And I think I did give it to one gentleman. All he lost was a sense of smell. Other than that, when he told me he lost it, he said, I think I lost my sense of smell. I said, you have COVID, go get tested right now. And he says, really? I said, get in there. And he did, and he was positive. And that's all that turned out from it. Other people say, oh, if you lose your sense of smell with your COVID positive results, then you're one of the more severe cases, but there's an anomaly. So basically nobody really knows, but we definitely lost our sense of smell in a very powerful way. Like it's not you kind of lose it, you lose your sense of smell altogether. A friend dropped off a lasagna that he baked for us, and I said, man, I'm gonna drink a glass of wine. He's awesome lasagna. So I corked a bottle, and we were starting to come around and feeling better. And I said, oh, this wine's corked. It just, there's no taste. It's like grape juice or something. Corked another bottle. I said, what in the hell? And I was like, stuffed my nose in there. I said, and we were like, oh, this lasagna is bland. This wine sucks. And we looked at each other and were like, we can't smell. And we just completely at that. And that was just when that sense of smell thing just started to break into the news, but anyway, odd stuff.
Do you happen to know where you contracted it yourself? Was it from traveling, you think?
Yeah, I think it was from traveling. I did I sat with a gentleman who got it in a conference call at his house. He works from home. And that was about 3 weeks prior to my symptoms really coming on. So that was really kind of at the cusp. I could have got it from him. He got it from a pilot, I think, that was traveling and visiting from Seattle, a friend. But it's really hard to tell if that was it. I did go to Tucson in early March with Sharon, and we were, on airplanes. We sat in the Delta Sky Club for 4 hours, and buffets, everybody touching all the buffet stuff and then sitting down and eating and whatnot. So Could have got it there or in the airports, and there's a chance I got it from a friend in Bozeman. But that's kind of a long shot, being that, we hadn't seen each other for a little over 3 weeks. So
You mentioned 8 to 10 days was when it really hit, and that was like the worst of your symptoms. How long did it prolong after that? Like, what was the entire duration of how long you were really feeling symptoms?
I'm just this weekend kind of get like back to normal. I went on a couple bike rides. My lung capacity feels like I'm taking, consistent, good cardio breaths. So really it was, and like I said, I don't think I did it any favors by trying to get out and do stuff. I went snowmobiling up Cabin Creek just before that season was kind of over with my son, and we put like 80 miles on our sleds. And again, that next day or that evening, I was just totally hammered and beat down. So I think I probably, if I would have just stayed a little more sedentary, it might have helped. But just this weekend, so the whole saga was 2 months. And like I said, I probably didn't do it any favors by just being stubborn.
Yeah.
And the workload and the stress from the workload. I mean, as soon as you get a scratchy throat, a headache, any kind of backache or body ache, it's coming back. So just because of the unknowns, nobody really knows what this thing does. So it's like, are we guaranteed it's over, or, we just don't know. So still trying to be cautious, very cautious, I guess, but feeling good now finally.
That's good news. Besides the test, you didn't receive any treatment at the hospital. It was simply recover at home.
Yep, just recovered at home. There towards the tail end, when I was getting frustrated, I was doing some telemeds with my doctor, and that's when he said, I was just kind of getting tired of these half breaths, and they were prescribing albuterol inhalers. I've hit that a few times, nothing crazy. I'm just like, I just better get used to this half breath thing for a little while. And sure enough, that's finally gone away. But yeah, just chatting with him and getting some updates and some current information on what other doctors are seeing and stuff like that. So
can you kind of sum up or describe those half breaths? Is it like a fish out of water? What's going through your mind?
No, it feels like somebody's got a cam strap around your chest and it's tightened down, and you only get so far. And they say it's just because, those alveoli sacs are just been attacked and they're dead, and your capacity just stops right there. So I would imagine that's where, in a severe case, it just keeps attacking until there's not much of a breath left. You don't have any kind of croupy bacterial kind of cough. Like, there's no phlegm, which is usually associated with a pneumonia or something like that. You figure you're like kind of gagging on stuff. This is not the case. It's real dry. And we didn't, like a third of the people don't get the cough, and we didn't get the cough, which I think we're pretty fortunate.
What do you think determines the severity of it? I mean, from all the activities you're describing, you're obviously a physically fit individual.
Then you hear these really healthy folks getting kicked, and dying from it. I wouldn't want to be a big time smoker, or have any kind of lung complications, any immunodeficiency stuff. I mean, those folks are extremely susceptible, obviously. And, I'm thankful that I have lungs that are in pretty good shape. And then I'm a healthy person. So yeah, I think, we do have pretty high stress level in Sharon and I. So I don't think that did us any favors. You never can really fully relax and just lay there. Your wheels are always turning, thinking about work and lining out employees and stuff like that. So that was a bit of a distraction, and maybe that helped it get a little better foothold. But yeah, it seems like the average case is that kind of 8 to 10 days of sort of heavy hitting, and then it does its thing and tapers off over the course of 2 to 3 more weeks.
So, you were diagnosed pretty early on. People kind of attach a stigma to people who've contracted COVID-19. Who did you tell when you received the diagnosis, and was it kind of like a scary thing to discuss?
That's a great point, and it obviously was. And, right when they said, I didn't have symptoms for 4 days, I was hiking up, Sourdough Trail, and ran into a friend of mine, I think, and she's in kind of the nursing field, and we were walking our dogs, and I said, she was, oh, how you doing in this COVID thing? I said, well, actually, I tested positive, and their eyes just kind of light up, and people are like, whoa, step back from this guy. And then my dog was kind of running around her dog, and panic set in a little bit, like, hey, don't let our dogs touch. And I had been cleared, like the health department said, hey, you're 6 days in, no severe symptoms, no fever, no severe body aches, even though I still kind of felt crummy. They were saying, up, you're cured, you're not contagious anymore. And I was still being very cautious. But I was hiking up the trail just to get the dogs out for a little bit. But no, people, and anywhere you go where I was at the doctor's office getting my blood checked, and told the lady behind the window, I was in a line of people, and she said, do you know anybody you been around anybody that tested positive for COVID-19? And I said, yeah, I have. And I kind of turned around, and, it was just all these funny looks, and people were like, step back from this guy. And obviously you're super concerned with passing it on to people. I mean, we were being told that we were cleared, like I said, 4 or 5 days after the major symptoms are gone, they say you're not contagious. Okay. And I wear a mask everywhere. I've got hand sanitizer, the Wild Dry hand sanitizer in my truck and everywhere I go, and the N95 mask I wear just out of courtesy. And I appreciate that. And I wish more people would embrace that. Now there's like an anti-mask movement that is just driving me kind of crazy, because it's just, if you're going to be with your buddies or at a little party and you all know each other, and, it's fine. But if you're at the grocery store or the drugstore and you don't know if that person has an immune deficiency or if they're a cancer survivor or whatnot, put your mask on. You don't know if you're carrying it. You could be completely asymptomatic and give up a random cough, and then there's airborne. So yeah, I do still wear a mask when I'm out in general public.
But on top of all that, are you afraid of contracting it again?
Oh, absolutely. I'm freaking terrified of it, just because, I don't like to miss one day of life, and this 2 months, and this just sucked. So I'm definitely like very wary, still being cautious, trying to catch updates on, what the antibodies mean. But I'm definitely, if it would be a severely depressing moment if I found out that it kind of reoccurred. Definitely still concerns me for sure.
Are you concerned about the virus spiking again in the area, especially with things starting to open up?
I definitely am. I'm glad they're opening things up slowly, and I'm so impressed with the way, like, some of the gyms and some of the restaurants, like, just this approach to let's open up and be cautious is fantastic. And if people can keep wearing masks and just being really conscious of spreading it to other people, you could be, you could be asymptomatic. You don't know if you have it or not. Like, just everyone needs to be extra cautious and turn their brains on. And I think we could avoid a big spike. But if people just start ignoring it and going back to life as usual, it's highly contagious, obviously. And I don't care how healthy you are, you don't want it. Like, if you feel like you can give up a couple months of your life, go ahead and be brazen, whatever, who gives a crap. But it's something to take serious. But on the other flip side, I am glad they're opening things up. I'm glad Big Sky's gonna open up for the summer season. I'm sure they've got their protocol in place. And if everybody just keeps being vigilant, we can do this. But yeah, I am slightly concerned, but it's a test, and the only way we're going to know is if we charge forward in an intelligent way. So,
is there anything that I didn't ask that you would like to discuss, Chris?
Yeah, I just hope that everybody kind of gives this a little serious thought and does what they can to avoid, spreading it or contacting it. But yeah, good luck to us all.